Morning.
Thank you. Thank you, Carrie. And you do say that every morning to me, so thank you very much for that. Well, what a fantastic morning this is. It's fantastic to be here at the beautiful mantra. I don't know about you, but I put tippy tappy shoes on this morning and walked up those stairs feeling really special with the chandeliers and the blacks and the gold and the silver. So it's a great morning to be had, and we've got over 100 people here today as well. So that's fantastic. We really do appreciate your time, getting up, you are busy people, and coming in this morning to hear from our mayors. Just a few welcomes. I'd like to welcome, obviously, the Mayor of the City of Wodonga, Anna Spetty, and the Mayor of Albury, Kevin Mack, to here this morning to speak to you. And most of our event this morning will be about you guys having a chat, and also there will be Q&A. Tracy Squires from Albury City Council, and also I'd like to welcome Andrew Cottrell. Andrew, we said New South Wales Business Chamber Regional Manager, and also I'd like to welcome board members. If you'd like to stand, please, and just briefly introduce yourself. Just briefly, because we do have a long agenda. So starting with Sheree.
Mel Milgren, Starfish Marketing.
Greg Woodward, Real Estate.
Alison Bruce, Howard Andrews.
Graham Chapman, PRD.
Harry Young, essentially ready.
Hamish Taylor, James Mellon High School.
Alex Berry, independent one merchant.
Thank you. Stay standing. These are your board members. These are members of Albury Nosso Chamber of Commerce as well. If you have any questions, queries, suggestions, by all means, feel free to contact them. They're on our website. So thank you very much. And they all volunteer their time firmly too, so thank you. I'd also like to introduce Albury Nosso Chamber team. For those that haven't met us before, my name is Kathy Harmon. I'm the General Manager. We have Carrick, who's Business Development Manager, Vera, who's Membership Engagement, and just a really short shout out to Busy. Thank you very much for putting on this event this morning with Mantra. Vera always does a stellar job with events, and just wanted to say thank you. Thank you. Also down the back, Megan, who's with Albury CBD Business Development and is our Marketing Communications Guru, so you'll be seeing some stuff from Megan shortly. And also Samantha, who's working with us on projects in Albury CBD in regards to the laneways and some projects we're doing at the moment with property developers and owners as well. Kelly, do you want to grab a seat? I do. Andrew, would you like to grab a seat as well? You still standing? Okay, thanks. I'd like to welcome our sponsors this morning. These people are extremely important to Chamber's future, and we would like to ask you to stand if you're in the room this morning. Any sponsors here this morning? Linda? Alison? Anyone else? Oh, come on, don't be shy. And I've got a few listed, but sometimes people say, Andrew, right, Kimberly? Stand up. What is it about them standing up? We're all friends in the room, so let's all stand up and be proud of each other. So, just quick around the room. Thanks, Linda.
Linda, Total HRM.
Angela Graf, Hume Bank.
Alison Bruce again, Howard Andrews, Law Firm.
Graham, Matt and Kate from PA.
Excellent, thank you very much. Now, last but not least, just anyone put their hand up if they haven't been to a business before ours before. Excellent, well, welcome. We really do appreciate you coming. This is a special one today. We're at the Mantra, normally at the Chamber Hub, so we look forward to seeing you at events in the future as well. And also, any new members to Albury Nosso Chamber of Commerce this morning here? Excellent. I am going to ask you to stand because we love new members and we like to welcome you to the team. So first,
I'm Brenda.
and Brenda, you're looking for work, aren't you? Yes. So Brenda's joined as an individual to Chamber, and we get a lot of individuals joining Chamber to actually put themselves out there and look for work in the community. So make sure you have a chat to Brenda as well.
Hi, I'm Kathy Howard. My husband and I have got Albury Wodonga garage doors.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Welcome. So they're new faces. Oh, down the back. Excellent.
Rita Hayes, I've moved to Murray Regional Development Australia, the Director of Regional Development and Director.
Excellent, Edwina. Welcome and thank you for coming this morning. Again, if you want to take a seat, there's plenty up the front here as well. Rightio. So, what I'd like to do without further ado is also welcome Ben O'Reilly. Ben, if you want to come up. So, Ben's General Manager of the Mantra Hotel, this wonderful establishment. And actually the Mantra has put on our tea and coffee and our breakfast this morning, so make sure you take something on the way out, otherwise you'll be going back to chamber. So, and they eat like a horse in chamber as well. So Ben, I'll leave it over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. Welcome to you all, and thank you for taking the time out this morning to come and experience the new Mantra Albury Hotel. It's wonderful to have the opportunity to showcase our new facilities to you all, and thank you to the Chamber for hosting this morning's event with us. Special welcome to Kevin and Anne. Thanks for being here this morning. I'm looking forward to hearing all you have to speak about today. It's very exciting to be a part of bringing the Mantra brand to Albury-Wodonga, with the recent purchase by Accor Hotels to be now aligned with the biggest international hotel organisation. We are now in the 4th month of trading after opening on May the 1st. We had an amazing response to our initial recruitment drive with over 360 applicants across all positions we advertised. We've been fortunate enough to attract some of the region's highest quality department heads and currently employ 40 staff. As you enter the hotel foyer, you would have passed La Tierra restaurant and cocktail bar. Our Mediterranean inspired menu utilises a very unique Spanish charcoal oven which produces beautiful smoky flavours to our produce. Above us we have 146 rooms and suites, all ranging in style and layout that can accommodate the professional corporate traveller, to our family rooms and 2-bedroom suites to facilitate travelling families and groups. It is exciting to have Albury's first exclusive Sky Lounge on our top floor of the hotel, which accommodates our VIP guests and their colleagues. At the conclusion of this morning's activities, we'll be conducting a site panel to walk around the facilities. Those of you who wish to join us, if you have to head off to the office quickly, we'd like to invite you back. You and your staff and your teams, we're conducting welcome drinks and canapes of an afternoon of your choice, so just let us know and show your expression of interest to myself or Jackie Morgan, the sales manager, before you leave today. Thanks again for coming.
Just a small shout out, Kevin Baskin, will you please stand up? Kev is also part of the BEC and also a sponsor, and obviously was a bit shy and decided he wouldn't stand up, so I thought I'd get him.
A photo as well.
So if you don't stand up, I'll eventually ask you to stand up past you. So just without further ado, I'd like to welcome up Anna Speedy. And so we're going, we'll play the video first, and then I'll welcome up the 2 mayors of the City of Wodonga and Albury City as well. So over to you guys.
Two cities, one community. It says it all. And really, we're individual. We have individual strengths. But when we're together, when we go and lobby, particularly at federal level, our argument becomes much stronger. And we are one economy. And when you look and you put us together, we're in the 17th to 20th top city in the country. So what a great opportunity to combine that strength to attract business here, to attract jobs, to attract opportunity, and really importantly, attract government funding.
This partnership is a historical, groundbreaking initiative. The community are ready for it. The community are talking about it in our community strategic plans. They're asking for it, and essentially it makes good sense.
Both of our long-term plans, the 2030 and 2033 plans for both cities, absolutely reinforce this notion. Our communities want this. It's the right step, and we're taking that, and that's really exciting.
It means that they'll see two cities coming together as one community and being more efficient and more able to provide infrastructure for one community.
Our community has told us, they've given us repeated messages. It's important that we respect that and we reflect it. Some of the examples where we're already working very closely together, we work together all the time on events. We couldn't attract the large events that we see come to our region, to both of our cities, if we didn't work together. That means we can share those assets, spread those events over those assets. We also work together on our waste. We work together on so many different things that this is just another step. This is about formalising it and then looking for further opportunities.
Now, we're having discussions with Wodonga about a joint indoor aquatic facility, and it's been discussed for 20 years. If we can convince our communities, and we can go hat in hand to both our state governments and our federal government, and say this can be a reality, you be part of the dream, I'm confident we can make that a reality.
We saw the dragon boat racing coming, we saw several thousand people come and paddle. We've got the Deaf Games coming, we've got the Big Bash coming, and the list goes on from basketball with tennis, and we already do those things. This just takes it to another level. We've got the See Both Sides campaign at the moment, really strong, and together we actually offer so much more. That's what this is about.
Another example of future initiatives is the Wagira Trail traversing its way to the Hume Wedge. Now, potentially, we could cross the river into Victoria with a footbridge, continuing along on the Victorian side.
You as a community member can actually have input. Please give us your feedback on those. Tell us if there is something else that you know occurs in either one of our cities that actually causes you heartache because it stops you doing business, it stops you bringing events here, stops you having a community group, having a success. Tell us, because together we can make the change.
This is a great opportunity for this region to be on the national stage and send a strong message to federal and state governments that we're serious and we mean business. And our community need to engage that and embrace that and come with us on that journey.
We are two cities, one community.
Stronger together.
Thank you. Gee, I did forget there was that last bit, Kev.
Took that zig and zag. I waited. You're always saying early, that's the problem. So, welcome this morning. I think the video encapsulates the journey, and I think if you look at that video and look at the great graphics and and just what Albury Wodonga stands for, you can see why we're here today. I might mention, probably historically, this is not just a historical initiative, but having the Mayor of Wodonga here to present to the Albury Northside Chamber is in itself a historical moment because it didn't happen before. And these are the things that happen as a natural occurrence now, whereas before there was a challenge to make these things happen. So what we might talk about first and foremost, that we do know at least, what we doing? Yeah. Okay, so we'll talk about the journey of Albury Wodonga. In 1973, Gough Whitlam and his government tried really hard to create a vision for Albury Wodonga in the terms of decentralisation. Did they get it right? Well, I think the cities have advantage from that intervention for quite a number of years, development of assets, development of green corridors, but they didn't bring the community along on the journey. That was the biggest issue. In 2001, the failed attempt by Bob Carr and Steve Bracks to take over Albury Wodonga and create it as one city was just a bit of political energy and political rhetoric that basically didn't really mean much to a lot of people, but scared a lot of people into believing that we would be one city, which is not the intention of this initiative. And to now, the historic MOU that was signed in October by two well-motivated councillors on behalf of their communities, because we were listening to our communities. The community, through our strategic planning, had said they want us to be together. They want us to be one community. And to that end, we are implementing that dream and making it a reality. So I think it's important to understand that we just don't sit in the chamber and say, what can we do next? We actually think about it, we engage with the community, and we do what we need to do to make the 21st century a reality. So, did you do that? How did you work out technology? Very impressive. So, I think we need to work with the strength of this collaboration. The collaboration is about two major cities in the regional corridor of Australia making the best of what they've got. We haven't done that very well in the past. But this is the future, and the future tells us that we can do things better together. And I think Anna will tell you now what that looks like.
Super, thank you. I know, I'm multi-talented. So you heard on the video about the strength of our numbers. Now, Kevin and I have both been to Spring Street in Melbourne and to Canberra, and we're heading to Sydney shortly to joint lobby, because when we stand together, we're over 100,000 people. So in the state of Victoria, that really puts us way up there, probably nearly ahead, particularly with our collector pool, over Bendigo and Ballarat. And so when we stand before government, that becomes really essential, particularly when we look at funding. But more broadly, when we look at our community and we look at the way that all of us traverse just a river, it's actually just a invisible line, and how we move our businesses, how our community moves, how our sporting groups move, it just makes sense. So we are continuing to grow, which is fantastic. And we can do that in an even more planned, and structured way that will enable both cities to reap the benefits, not only with their businesses, but also with the assets that they already have. So, do you want to, needs like a sound or something, needs a bell. They're the statistics, they speak for themselves. And you heard again on the video how the attraction of events and what it does and how many people it brings into not only our communities, but also our economy. And so we can continue to do those things better. There you go. So talking about key initiatives and what are we going to do in this agreement? Really, there's three major parts to this agreement. The first one being, how do we work with you guys to remove anomalies? The second one is, how do we do the business of council, and should we be looking to things and asking the question of should we do things together, i.e. should we purchase services together, etc. Third one being, when we look at our assets, when one of us goes to build an AFL field, both of us shouldn't be doing it. Where should it go? Where should it be best located? Aside from the fact that I'd like it in my city, Kevin would like it in his, we've got to get over ourselves and actually be smarter at the use of our funds and certainly the use of all of our assets. So looking at anomalies, looking at the business simplification money, there was nearly $300 million at a federal level, most of it hadn't been touched. We continue to talk with government about that. And really looking at one of the joint issues that keeps raising its head and something we absolutely have to address. And that's how do we continue to assist our young people to not only get educated, but also to get work.
Which sign that one? Sorry. Okay, so there's already stuff we're already doing in the environment, particularly our hard waste program. You saw some stuff in the video that demonstrated what the waste facility looks like. Did everyone get excited about the waste facility? It's cleaner than some backyards in Albury-Wodonga, but it's a fantastic space, and we're actually reaching our targets as a joint organisation in terms of 2 cities but 5 communities, because our waste facility actually services 5 councils throughout the region, so it is a true regional facility. I think the river experience speaks for itself. We've been recently funded to the tune of $20 million, with $10 million of that being state money, to build infrastructure around the Murray River experience. So the Norriel precinct, all the way down to Wagira Trail to the Wonga wetlands, will become a total reality and fronting onto the river. And I think that's one thing as a community, 2 communities we haven't done really well in the past, because we've always seen the river as that thing that floods our backyards. But in effect, it's a great opportunity for tourism, a great opportunity for lifestyle. And recently we met as 2 councils to discuss the Gateway Island Master Plan. Again, those 2 things connect, and we cannot ignore that. In the past we may have ignored that, but in the future we do not. So that $10 million that Albury City will be spending with the other 10 from the state government will actually meld into what's happening across the river, and we'll have that opportunity to have those crossings, put those bridges in place and make it a reality, because there's a great event space on the other side of the river, if you didn't notice, the Gateway Island event space, and we've got all the issues with our surrounding hills, and I think mountain biking and all the stuff we have taken for granted in the past can become a bigger reality, because separately we put on great events. Together we can do a better event and do a better, you're doing great there, you're better than I am, do better things together. I think again, our cross-border events are worth around $10 million a year. I mean, that's just really not trying. Our events team do a fantastic job. Wodonga's events team do a fantastic job. But together, we go hand in hand to these people lobbying for events. That adds a fair bit of weight to the game. And I think that's what is really clearly the purpose of what we're trying to achieve. Especially with the shared services and everything else we do, if we can build that infrastructure that announces us as a destination, then we can actually make a difference. I think there's been a lot of discussion about the Lamington Sports Ground and why you're doing that, and there's a lot of proprietary interest from sporting clubs. But the issue about Lamington Sports Ground is it is truly a regional facility. It will be a state-of-the-art facility that will be able to host major events. And I'm not just talking about football and cricket, I'm talking about sporting events which attract young people in the region to come from all over the country to be part of those carnivals that our young people and families travel to all the time. It's about attracting those families who spend money into our region to make it more attractive to them to be here. Recently, the Wodonga Council announced the Albury-Wodonga Cricket Academy. It again is another cross-border initiative that we are both contributing funds to and are working closely together to deliver. And it's really important for us to say to our families that we're open for business and we're going to reduce that need for you to travel on those highways and in the air to those events to take your children to have them, to give them the opportunity to access elite sport. And that's really the critical issue. I think in the past, in the 6 years I've been on council, the growth of our relationship with our Aboriginal community have grown exponentially, and it's fantastic. And again, together, Albury and Wodonga are doing great things in the Indigenous space. And with the recent NAIDOC event that we had, it's a week of events, we had an amazing events calendar, and you would never have seen that before 10 years ago. And I think it's about engaging your community at all levels and being able to come to the table together and tell them you're serious and you're open for business, and you mean it, and you mean it, and you want them to be part of that dream. And I think that is what this whole initiative is all about.
Thank you. So looking at how we are representing you in a leadership capacity, and I indicated earlier that we do go to Canberra and to Spring Street, etc. together. And I think that pretty evident when you actually see the Federal Minister for Small Business here, the Victorian Small Business Minister and the New South Wales Small Business Minister in Wodonga just a couple of weeks ago, shaking hands and actually agreeing that the things that you guys have to suffer and endure every single day to do business, 10 minutes apart, has to stop. That we have to find solutions for this. And, you know, we've got to keep working together in that partnership model. More recently, we brought together a rail collaboration, and, you know, really it was about putting everybody at the table to stop complaining. We knew that we had 9 years of absolutely painful history of rail, or lack thereof. Pulled together everybody along the North East Rail Corridor, pulled together Public Transport Victoria, V-Line, ARTC, the federal government, our federal and state members, and we forced them all to the table so that instead of having this, you know, oh, well, it's them and do that, you know, this was actually about holding everybody to account and finding solutions. So again, we conducted research, we looked at the lost opportunity. So instead of going and complaining to government, you actually go with solutions. And we talked about the cost of loss of economy, the effect on business, and also the effect on our community. And it was incredibly powerful. We sat with, they changed around a fair bit in Canberra, we sat with Darren Chester, and he sat there and said, I can't believe that both of you are sitting at the table, arguing for the same thing, standing together, and, you know, standing strong for your community. We're there every day of the week. You know, we've seen $235 million allocated to the line, $40 million from the Victorian government. We've just seen the announcement about new rolling stock. They haven't put a figure on that yet, but it is going to be ordered. It takes 2 years. So we've actually had a really big win. And we do continue to meet with federal members, and we do continue to, apart from seeing every hairstyle I think I've ever had, we do continue to keep meeting with federal members and the Deputy Prime Minister. We're in also the Prime Minister's office as well, speaking with his Chief of Staff in and around this initiative, and what can federal government do to stand beside us so that we as communities can continue to grow, businesses can continue to grow. You want me to keep going, Ken?
Yeah, sure.
Righto, thanks. So when we also, I think we've also had an additional win in that we've had the announcement from the Victorian State Government, which is absolutely essential, New South Wales has a cross-border commissioner, Victoria hasn't. That has really hampered any results. So we've seen the announcement from this government. They do intend to appoint before caretaker, so caretaker kicks off in October. So that's pretty exciting because it's going to straight up start addressing some key things. So when the small business ministers were here, they were really clear about what they were going to do. So it's going to look at training. You know, how ridiculous that we do have 2 fantastic TAFEs, for example. Now, with the size of our region, you can't necessarily run 2 sets of the same courses in both of them, but we do need that run somewhere here so that our people can actually get those skills that they need, and also that you guys need to run your businesses. So we need to sit down and talk and go, well, just because I live in Albury doesn't mean I shouldn't be able to access Wodonga 10 minutes away. This is my community, my economy, and vice versa. So look at the trades licences. It drives everybody crazy. From working with children's checks, which, you know, apparently if you've got one in one state, it doesn't count in the other one, really. You know, from our tradies every day of the week having to be licensed in both cities. None of this makes sense. And I've got to tell you, it stops them in the tracks when you're telling the story about the taxis. You know, come from Wodonga, can't pick up in Albury. How ridiculous. So, you know, we've actually got the ears of government and I think the willingness standing behind us, which is even better. So they're probably a couple of the key things. Hoping to see when this new appointment that you see James McCash and the new person sit down and work hand in hand, because we've got the ministers ready to tick the box as well.
Okay, so what are we doing? And that's really about the initial achievements that were made just recently. You'll see welcome signage turn up on the city limits in the next few weeks, I would anticipate. Next month or so. Tracy, where is she, Trace? How are we going with that, Trace? Lining up the back there, Tracy Sky, the acting general manager. Make sure you get that Albury-Wodonga welcome, Albury-Wodonga signage up. So that'll be on all the entries to Albury-Wodonga, and certainly you'll see it at Logic, you'll see it out at Tabletop. It's about announcing to visitors that we are together, and it's important to understand that this signage is historically significant. But we've already got it at the airport. If anyone's been at the beautiful new airport out at East Stelvin, you would have seen that signage already. But it's about announcing that we are together and we are serious about what we're trying to achieve. We've spoken about the rail collaboration. It's a no-brainer. It makes a lot of sense. The one I spoke about on the video, the Joint Aquatics Facility, got another mention in the press recently with the hydrotherapy issues out at the Albury-Wodonga Health. It's not our issue, Albury-Wodonga Health, but I might value add to that. Albury-Wodonga Health is the only example of a cross-border and cross-state initiative in this country. It's jointly funded by both states and certainly is the second biggest regional health facility in Victoria, not New South Wales, because they think Albury's in Victoria and they think Wodonga's in New South Wales. That's why neither of us get any funding. So, but we're going to change all that. We're working on a joint destination plan, which again is really important to people who work in the tourism space and in the event space, because we need to be working together and again representing our cities and what we offer, and the region, what we offer to the tourism market and what we offer to the visitation market. The combined digital economy strategy, we've been working on that for a number of years. It's about leveraging off what we can make available to you as businesses and certainly to our education sector, and what we can attract in terms of business investment. So that's a really critical issue, because in this day and age, people can work anywhere in the country. And I think that's really salient, because we've had a lot of approaches from different businesses, especially cloud-based businesses, who can't operate in the very competitive spaces like Singapore and Asia, but they can operate here and keep their staff intact, because a lot of their staff get poached by other bigger corporates. So they can see that there's a benefit of moving into 2 cities with 2 universities and 2 TAFEs to attract the young people who want to work in cloud-based technology, which is certainly an emerging technology. So the ongoing support for our tourism brand, we spoke about the Seabow Side brand. We've been working really hard with Murray River Tourism Board. We both have destination authority in both of our states. It's about bringing them together also and make them understand from a regional perspective, we are working in the best interests of our businesses and certainly the best interests of our people. On the front of shared infrastructure, I spoke about the Albury-Wodonga Career Academy. It's a significant structure because, again, it'll attract regional people to that facility. As far as field as Griffith and Wagga, they will be coming to leverage off that experience. And anyone that has ever had a child that plays basketball, my brother has, you'll understand how far you will travel to realise their dream and give them that opportunity to compete in an elite market. This is about bringing that market to Albury-Wodonga. The RV park we've also discussed, and I think Tom Weatherall's discussed a bit more than we have, but it needs to be a reality for both cities. It's something we are not engaged in at the moment. We need to be in that space. It's a huge space when it comes to the visitor economy, and it's something as two cities we are able to achieve together because we can pick the ideal location and we can make that happen. I think we're very confident that will happen in the next few years. We're very confident that this city, or both cities, will certainly enjoy the benefit of it. And the Albury-Wodonga Regional Sports Precinct, I spoke briefly about that, but also I spoke about the Murray River Experience. These are all legitimate projects that are on the table that we are working on at the moment. It's not just about the rhetoric of two cities, one community. It's about the reality that we are making things happen. And what? It's been less than 12 months. It's just, oh, look, oh, there you go.
Don't invite me back.
Ben, where are you?
So, what are we doing? We haven't stopped still. We continue to move this forward at pace. We do actually have an action plan. So we jointly put together we actually got both of our community plans and went, where do they actually meet? And there was quite a few touch points. We went back out to community to check that off. Then we actually created a really comprehensive action plan. We're working our way through that. There's some really boring stuff on there. Let's be real. There's some planning stuff and some strategic things that we have to really address and do. But we've also got an ask into federal government for $2 million to be able to do that work so that we do it properly and it actually enables us to go after larger pots of funding. We continue to look at all of our services. One of the questions that we ask ourselves as contracts come available or need to be renewed, like our water facilities and our leisure facilities, we actually ran that tender process together. For example, Wodonga saved over $150,000 a year, ended up with a stronger result for our community. Albury was about $50,000 a year cheaper, but we actually attracted a Melbourne provider that we've never seen in this marketplace before. So we're going to continue working through those things, going to continue working at government level in particular. We want to also work with you. Here's the really key component, I think. Do you want to hit the button, Kev?
Yeah.
So there is significant steps that need to be made. This isn't going to be easy. It was never going to be easy, but that didn't mean we should back away from it. So really, I guess, presenting to you guys today gave us an opportunity to also say, how can we as a community, how can we as a business community also step forward? Because our voice alone into government, well, they'll listen to us because we keep annoying them a lot, but your voice is incredibly powerful. And you putting up your hand, you telling our local members that you are absolutely supportive of this and telling them the things that really inhibit the growth, productivity or profitability of your business, things that stop you on a daily basis or just annoy the living daylights out of you, is going to be incredibly powerful and really, really important. Your voice is as important as us speaking to the Prime Minister's office.
I think it's critical for you guys to understand the power of your businesses and the power of your budgets, the power that can make and the difference that can make to our representation. So it's not just up to us to do it. It's up to you guys to take the initiative. Look at what's available through the Business Simplification Plan. Look at the things that have held you back in the past in terms of cross-border anomalies. Understand and unlock your opportunities and your productivity. And I think that's one of the things that you take for granted. I use an interesting analogy that it's like having an ingrown toenail for 20 years. You put up with it for 20 years. Suddenly you get it taken out and you think, why did I put up with that for 20 years? Because you feel so much better. This is the same thing. It's not an ingrown toenail, although Anna, the way you use the computer could be. This is about you saying to government, state and federal governments, that is enough is enough. This is not just about Albury-Wodonga. This is about all of Australia. We are being discriminated against through lack of attention to the Constitution. The Constitution of this country is discriminating against people in this room who have businesses and want to make a living. So get on the phone, get on emails, get on those letters and get into your governments and say, listen, Susan, Greg, Bill, whoever it is, get onto it. chase them up and make sure you tell them quite unequivocally that you support this initiative, you want to see change for your businesses. And the small businesses of this country currently rule our economy and run our country. Without you, we do not have employment, we do not have opportunity, and we do not have a place in the economic markets of our country. So think about it. We need you to step up and help us to make it better for you.
And given that Kevin's moved on to the Constitution and I don't have mine in my hand, I reckon now would be a great time to open the floor for any questions because, you know, we're here to hear your message as well so that when we do stand for full government, we have your voices at the table. So has anybody got any questions?
Questions?
Come on, you've all had coffee. Right down the back, stand up.
Oh.
Go on, give us a big loud voice.
This is the best thing I've ever heard of.
Oh, awesome.
Born and
Right,
bred
we'll just go
in
now, thank you.
Born and bred in Albury, lived 15 years in Wodonga. Is it possible for you to take this to other joint communities such as Yarrawonga, Mulwala, Echuca, Moama? I have a business in Lavington which also operates in Wodonga. We have 2 lots of licensing, 2 lots of regulations. It's a real estate business and it's ridiculous. A tenant has to give different notice to do one thing in Wodonga
Correct.
as opposed to Albury.
Yep.
And the predominant mix of cross-border communities is along the Murray River. Can you go to these other communities and try and get some sort of strength going so that we can go to both federal governments, both state governments, and get the laws changed so that they're uniform? You know, why have a driver's licence in one state and a different one in this state? Can't we go national? Something
Okay,
like
we
that.
didn't plant this question, just so you know. Absolutely, we are, that is, when we talk to government, we say use us as the test case because we have the joint collaboration, we already have the joint agreement, so it actually makes it easier. So you've already removed one layer that could get in your road. And absolutely, when you look at where the cross-border New South Wales Commissioner and where the new role in Victoria will head, it is absolutely all the way across the river. So really we stand in a better position to lead from the front, and when we do talk to government, this is absolutely the number one thing we say. It isn't just about us. This is a national issue, and whether it be the problem be between New South Wales and Queensland border, we're presenting between heads in a couple of weeks. We're half their landing strip in the airport is in one state and the other half's in the other. So we aren't alone on this journey, and absolutely we can stand up, but we keep saying, use us as the test bed. We're here, we can do the work, and then you'll be able to overlay it. Andrew.
Anna and Kevin, the federal government City Deals program, is the application for funding through that program for the infrastructure projects that you've already identified, or is that to undertake a plan to develop what we're actually going to chase together from the funding pool?
Yeah, terrific question. So we've actually jointly applied for City Deals money and put our name on the table. In actual fact, we sat with the architect of the program, Dr. Stephen Kennedy in Canberra, and as a consequence, we've actually developed a regional cities deal. So that's pretty exciting because we've changed it. And we keep talking about exactly those things because there's key components. You've actually unfortunately got to do the planning part first to then go after major infrastructure money. So
I think
we've
it's
got
quite
both.
funny though, they said to us that they can't work out how the Treasury could fund this because 2 cities from 2 different states should be working together. So it's quite unusual, it's a bit like utopia with government sometimes, they need to work their way towards it. But further on to that comment before about 2 states working together, there are 3 MOUs in existence in this country at the moment, the other 2 are at state level. This is the first time that 2 cities have got together and signed an MOU on behalf of their communities. So Queensland and New South Wales have an agreement, New South Wales and the ACT have an agreement. So this is where they see that organic reach getting to a point where they have to listen. So this is why we need you guys to make them listen.
Yep.
Any other questions? Good class.
I know they are, aren't they?
Well.
Either we answer them all or we've absolutely baffled them. Go
Right.
on.
You mentioned at one point there about the future plans for Gateway Island.
Mhm.
Do you want to elaborate on what plans are there, or is it somewhere online where we can go and see that?
Yep. So Wodonga's just closed the draft master plan process on Friday. We actually met last Thursday as two councils. I always say it's hard, like herding cats with one set of councillors, we put both of them in the same room. So we actually got together and looked at those joint plans, particularly when you overlay the Murray River experience in Albury, butting up to the, there's two sides to a river, they do that, and actually how they talk and where those river crossings should be, etc. So those plans aren't going to stand in isolation, they absolutely have to talk together. So the Gateway Master Plan is actually the whole of Gateway, but it's broken up into precincts. Precinct 3, which is actually the component that really abuts the river, and Precinct 1, which is Gateway Village, are really the components that we're focusing as the two cities together, because it's actually one of our action plans in our joint agreement to look at how do we create that as one project, go after funding for that, other economic drivers that might sit in there, whether it's bigger concerts, more than 12,500 people for Peter Garrett, whatever his name is. You know, but you know, what does that look like? And then let's make sure if he builds a sandpit on his side, I don't build one on my side. Or if you do, should they talk to each other and how do they do that? Because it just makes really good sense that when you look at the environmental impacts on the river, where you cross, all of those things, we have to do it in partnership. But there's a really terrific nature-based tourism opportunity for us to get out and walk and ride and experience all that beautiful land, and really we've turned our back on the river. How do we actually embrace it instead?
And I think the real game changer is linking the river with pedestrian bridges. And this is not utopia, this is a reality. You know, the pedestrian bridge across Wodonga Creek, they're not that expensive. And they just connect those two states so easily and can make those spaces so accessible. So they are one of the key piece of infrastructure we see as a way of connecting our communities, and about connecting the visitor experience as well. So this is the reality of what we're trying to achieve. This is not the only thing we want to do.
Anything else?
I've got one more.
So I'll go to you and then I'll come back to you, Andrew.
Yeah, that's right. Mine was more of a, I suppose, a comment, but I recently learned that we're one or two of the 90 out of 537 councils within Australia that are actually implementing the green bin system. So I was really proud to learn something like that, and I suppose I'm curious to know what's happening in the future in and around waste and things like that. So how is it being affected with the can depository system in New South Wales versus Victoria, and the overlap of that? Because I'm expecting, if we're not going to get it in Victoria, that we're going to see our Wodonga community coming over and utilising the service on this side of the border.
So jointly, from an environmental aspect, we are both looking at opportunities to improve our own footprints. And I don't want to use too many colloquialisms because it just drives me crazy. But individually we actually have to now marry really that strategic thinking so that we do get a broader perspective. Yes, we are absolutely joined and committed together for the free bin system, and what that means, you know, I think it's over 10,000 or 15,000 tonnes we've actually diverted from landfill already, which is just, we've extended the life of the landfill by more than 50 years. And that's only in a couple of years. What else could we do together? I know I'm working with a brilliant young student to look at opportunities of how you might not just recycle plastics, but actually turn them into usable product. So, you know, there's longer term, there's joint things we could and should be doing. So smart cities, city deals, looking at all of our lighting. You know, all of those, just, they seem like fairly simple things, but, you know, again, buying power together, joint initiatives, joint strategies will actually allow us to go further, because we'll have, you know, it's that mass.
So to answer your question though, the CDS, yes, well, the CDS currently is operating, you don't realise it, but when they're picking up the recycling in Wodonga, the recycling bin is going to Albury, and Cleanaway are actually weighing that product and actually getting a return on that product. Victoria are looking at the CDS opportunity and what that can represent for their state. At this point though, New South Wales is still sorting out their own teething problems, I might add, and again, we're getting that benefit of basic communities working together because it is going to Cleanaway and to their Murphy in Albury.
Andrew?
So Henry, again, the next steps sound great, but I feel like it would be better if we had some sort of coordination or framework over that.
Mhm.
We currently have a cross-border advisory committee that looks at a lot of those issues that you've mentioned, challenges, the licensing, the permits, etc.
Yep.
Is there any way we can perhaps have the two chambers sort of perhaps working with the advisory committee? We're meeting today actually, strangely, coincidentally, to try and coordinate the approach from businesses. I just feel like it might be a bit spurious if we all just,
I couldn't
everyone just
I couldn't
writes.
think of a better outcome.
Yeah.
You know, this today really is about, and we've spoken on a couple of occasions now, the more we can tell this story and the greater the understanding, and then that step, you know, not for us to force somebody to the table to do that, but that step, absolutely.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
just via social media, something that at least gets those messages
It would be
across
fantastic.
to all the businesses locally who can then represent those challenges through.
Yep, that would be great. And in fact, if you know, I think you might have her number, but if you want information about how that might be achieved, I know that Tracy would absolutely, talk to you about that framework, what steps, how can that feed in, how can we link it to even our web page or web pages. Yeah, that would be super.
And just to clarify something, the New South Wales State Government at this point have agreed to spend money in Victoria if they can see a regional benefit for that infrastructure or that programming or that particular activity. So they've come a long way. With the cross-border commissioner in Victoria, we would expect with an MAU that will be signed in the near future, it'll be a similar arrangement. So Andrew, that would be a great outcome for today's meeting, that the chambers actually have a seat at the table. And part of the regional city deal stuff is about identifying who needs to be at that table and allow that to happen, because councils are very busy. Our staff are doing the stuff of running the day-to-day business of council. So that's why we need that oversight, and we need to understand who needs to be part of that discussion. So thanks for that, and if the chambers want to enable that, more than happy for that to be an action out of today's discussion. Thank you.
Great. Any other final questions? No, thank you very much for the opportunity to present to you this morning. We do absolutely appreciate and understand how busy each and every one of you are. But also, it's great to be able to take the opportunity. Thank you for your commitment, your passion and your investment in our cities and in our one economy. Thank you for letting me this side of the border. What a beautiful location, Ben. Congratulations, this place is absolutely stunning. And go out, have a great day, go out and do business. Thank you.
Well, just as we wrap up, excuse me, I'd just like to add, who would like to hear from the mayors in 6 months' time in regards to how they're travelling again? If you'd like to show of hands. Thank you.
Lucky there was a couple of hands.
So we'll make sure that's on the event calendar for next year, Vera. So note to self. Before we go, we've got 2 fantastic Lucky Door prizes. 2 communities, 1 essential ingredient. Thanks, Mary. Thanks for throw that out there. We actually did make up that yesterday. Vera, have you got the magic bowl? Oh, there you go. Of course it is. Did anyone miss out? Well, that's more luck for someone else then. So, and the winner is Anna?
Sydney.
Sydney, Australia. Dan. There you go. Well done. Federation. Well done, Dan. We're going to Dan's place. We're going to hook up the storm.
Capital. Can I just mention something here? If we're going to be one city, does that mean we only need 1 mayor?
Well, we'll have to be one city.
We've got 1 real today.
And the last Lucky Door prize is from Circa, and it's a $200 gift voucher, and the winner is Paula Carroll. Oh, Paula, there you go. So thank you again for everyone for coming today. There's plenty of food on the table, there's tea and coffee, there's time to network.